Okay, so let's go ahead now with team challenges. Here we tried with Javier to collect some challenges that we think might be interesting. Before that, let me go quickly through the working environment. So what we did with Etsy, given that in this case it's a remote Hackfest. Actually, you are attending the first Terraflow remote Hackfest. So if something is not perfect, we are doing our best. But and we will learn from that. But well, in this case, what we did to enable this collaboration is that we are providing virtual machines. Each virtual machine is pre-configured, okay? Thanks to Etsy for providing these VMs and the VPN and so on. The virtual machines, okay. First thing that I need to change, look, because this is not for, I was updating this thing with Julian this morning just to ensure that you have enough resources for running the Hackfest. Each VM is 8 CPU and 12 gigs of RAM. They have 80 gigs of disk. So with this thing, we tested and it's enough for running the Terraflow controller, the Terraflow network slice controller, and also this small environment with Container Lab that I was showing to you. It should be fine. It is running Ubuntu Server 24.4. It's upgraded, so you don't need to upgrade anything. The server IP addresses, you have them here. So we will assign one VM to each of the teams that we compose. We will work on the teams in a minute. Then credentials, important. The virtual machines have the classical Ubuntu users, and then we define it as the password, the classical one that we use for the Hackfest, for you to remember easily. It's TFS 123 in lowercase. Then the virtual machines are exposing, again, another change that I forgot to add because I was changing this few hours ago. It's also it's exposing these ports, okay? So you can use port 22 TCP for SSH, port 80 TCP for the web UI of Terraflow. 8081, it's Cockroach database, the relational database. I think you will not need it, but just in case. And 8085, it's the network slice controller. Maybe let me put here TFS controller. This one I will remove just to prevent confusion. And here I will put TFS NSC so that you have it clear. For sure, if during the Hackfest you need further ports, just let us know and we can manage. The code is already available in the in the server, so you have a couple of folders with the code. Here I will add that it is cloned and it's checked out to branch a feature right here. Branch feature / Hackfest 8. So that way, if we need to inject some change in the code or something, we can inject it in this branch. You just do a git pull and you will get it. For now, in principle, it's not needed that you do anything, and the toolkit is already installed. That means Container Lab. You also have the GNMIC. You have the microcage installed. You have Docker, etc. I don't expect you having to install additional things, but well, just for you to know. You will have to is it here? Yeah. Okay, that was my mistake while separating the slides. In terms of the working environment on your site, it is expected that you provide a laptop, computer, whatever, with a 40 client VPN configured with the Etsy credentials. If you have trouble, we can manage maybe after this session, or maybe tomorrow in the morning, in case you haven't requested the VPN account. It is expected also that you install VS Code or equivalent, we recommend VS Code with this remote development extension because it's very convenient. So you will get something like this thing that I have here that you can connect to a virtual machine, and then it's like if you were in front of the system working. It's very smooth for working. It's very lightweight. So, well, this is my personal recommendation. If you have other preferences, we are open for sure. Then, if you go for this, to configure the access to the SSH, it's very simple. You just need to go here. I will show. You just need to go here, where it is remote controller, sorry, remote extension. You just click this wheel here. I typically select the file in my own account, and you introduce here, you add the specific pointer to the machine. Okay, essentially these 4 lines. So this is a free name, the one that you prefer, TFS Hackfest 8 PM. Here you provide the IP address, the port will be 22 for you, and the user will be, instead of TFS, Ubuntu. Okay, so you have it here, hostname, port, and Ubuntu. Did I miss anyone? No, it's fine. Good. Then after that, you will get in the, well, you save the file and you will get an entry like this. You just right click, connect in current or in new window as you prefer. I will now connect in new, and you will get an environment. It will install, if needed, the VS Code server, and then you can go directly to open a folder. You go here, for instance, to TFS controller. Okay, I'm doing it on mine to do not change anything in your servers. And after that, you will have the access to the VM. Okay, so that's more or less it on how to configure. Then back to presentation. Sorry. Yeah, the password I told you before, TFS123. Then for deploying TerraFlow, well, more or less I was explaining it, but in order to facilitate, you have also this deploy script that I was asking to you. But well, you have here the thing. To deploy the NSC, my colleague Javier tomorrow in the morning will provide you additional details, but essentially it's just running the deploy.sh script that is in the TFS NSC folder, and the NSC will be exposed in port 8085/NSC for the API or /WebUI for the web user interface. In terms of the challenges, now the interesting things. First things first, we're providing a selection of challenges that we think that are interested, but for sure, sky is the limit. I mean, if you don't find these challenges interesting and you want to play with something else related to TerraFlow and take advantage that now we are here in the Hackfest, we are not against. I mean, if you have personal challenges, ongoing developments, some experiment that you want to try with TerraFlow, whatever thing, we can adapt. We can try to do our best. Okay. So at the end, keep calm and enjoy the Hackfest. And now I jump to the proposed list of challenges. As you see, they are classified in 3 main groups. We have one first group that are challenges that we consider that are not that difficult, should be more or less easy. A second block that is, let's say, medium. We try to sort them more or less from easiest to, or the block of easiest to the block of more difficult, and the last one it's the difficult one because this one implies implementing a component from scratch. Okay, let me go quickly through them. The first one is it's implementing an Ansible playbook. that can be used to deploy the micro-K8s cluster as it is explained in the documentation, because something that happens in Teraflow from time to time is that when we want to deploy things, sometimes it's time consuming. And if you have to throw the commands manually one after the other, it's a bit boring. Okay, so if we can have something that automates, it will be very, very nice. Especially, for instance, because this past week when I was preparing with Etsy the virtual machines for you for the Hackfest, I had to configure things manually one by one. So if you work on that, it will help me and facilitate preparing the future Hackfest. Second challenge, it's on implementing Helm charts to deploy the basic components of Teraflow. So here we are focusing, for instance, in context, device, service, path computation, web UI, and the NBI. Okay, this should not be something difficult, but it's something that will enable something that we were discussing this morning in the plenary, that is combining then multiple Helm charts with some automated configuration and enable to deploy different flavors of Teraflow without having to customize each and every configuration. Okay, so with that you will be contributing to the future of Teraflow deployments. And I think that this is something interesting. The third one it's on playing with how we deploy the workloads in Kubernetes. Okay, right now it is done, let's say, for each service of Teraflow, we deploy the service plus the deployment set at the time, but then it poses some problems and race conditions because in some cases there are one component that let me maybe draw it. In some cases, maybe there is one component, like let's say device, that depends on context. Okay, context. So how we manage this? So let me write it. The device depends on context. Name it as SVI if you want to follow the new nomenclature. So what happens with this? We are deploying the two, but if device gets deployed before context, it will check environment variables to get which are the IP addresses, the settings for context, for contacting context, and given that it will not discover because context was not deployed, context service was not deployed, device just crashes and needs to retry deploying. So the deployment takes longer, and when you need, for instance, to chain this to a third element, like, for instance, service, that again depends on device and also depends on context, okay? Service depends on device and also depends on context. The thing then magnifies. And you can imagine that then we have also the MBI and the web UI that depends on service. So the thing keeps expanding. Okay, so at the end, how these services know that the other elements are in place? It's because in the Kubernetes, we deploy two things. We deploy the deployment set and we deploy also the service that exposes the microservice. Okay, so I don't know if you are familiar with how Kubernetes works, but you can have the service and you can have the deployment set, and this deployment set then has the pods. So you expose the service with a Kubernetes service. Let me put it as this to understand it better. This is Kubernetes deployment set. And there is the Kubernetes The idea is to deploy it in a different way. So deploy it in two steps. So one step is first deploy the services and then deploy the workloads. So that way, what we will get is that all the components can be deployed in a single step without having to add extra delays. Okay, this is an enhancement in the deployment of TerraFlow. The third challenge, it's enabling the device configuration from web UI. Okay, what happens? I was showing to you. Do we have TerraFlow open here? Not here. Yeah, this one. Okay, you see here we have ways to edit the settings. So I can click here. Oops, and for some reason it was not working. Nice. I was told this was working. Okay, then the challenge is a bit different. We have to make it work. It's not, well, configure specific rules can be created but not configured. Not edited / configured. So you can check how it works and implement or correct or fix, let's say, the configuration button. Okay, so that way you make it work. I think should not be difficult, but well, it requires, if you are familiar with web user interfaces and so on, might be easy for you. Also, another help.
Hi,
Yes?
Lluis, sorry. Just to be clear, so this assume we should be familiar with something in order to do such things, right? If like me, I never use it, so I have no idea nearly. So for these things, how can I do it?
No,
Or I
well,
have to learn first.
no, but it's not needed that you do all the challenges by yourself. I mean, and maybe there will be other challenges that you are more comfortable. And for sure, if you have trouble with some of them, we can help you. I mean,
Okay, okay.
no worries, no worries.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so for the Helm, for the NSC component, also it will be nice to implement this Helm chart for deploying it, and run some tests for the network slice controller, so that we can implement this test and validate the code. Um, in this case, it was said that in the Hackfest 5 there was a problem with the layer 3 VPN. To me, it works. So maybe this issue does not apply, but well, you can try to repeat. Essentially, this one it's repeating the test that I was mentioning, the one that I was showing to you in live, and checking if it works to you. If it works, probably we can close this issue, just stating that it was a spot issue in the deployment of the person that was reporting this issue. Okay. This might be easy because I think it should work. Refresh inventory, it's adding a button in the web UI that enables you to report. Let me show it to you. So right now in the device, we have here this button, the one next to the eye, that reports the components in the device. In this case, it's not work because it's data center. But if it's a router, okay, interesting. Then for some reason in this kind of device it is not working. Why not? Okay, I don't know what's happening today. This was working. Maybe it's because of the type of device. Well, we will see. I will see. I will review this one and maybe let you know because I was expecting at least the components were loaded. Otherwise, if you want to address this, it's a matter of checking how it's done It's essentially reporting the components from OpenConfig and populating them in the database. And for that, we also have this mock netconf OpenConfig agent that you can use for configuring for emulating a real node. This one is on retrieving a underlay TAPI topology. So for those that are familiar with TAPI, you know that in TAPI you can retrieve the the topology from the context. Okay, so in the first Hackfest we were showcasing a TFS, TFS, a TAPI server, a mock TAPI server, very simple, very basic. So you have the code over here in the TAPI server. You have an explanation of how to run it and so on. And what we were doing is with another application, which is this TAPI application, that is very basic, we retrieve the context, and from this context then we iterate through the nodes and the links in order to draw the topology. Okay, and what we should get is something like this. And the idea of this challenge is that given in TerraFlow, we can retrieve the topology. I will show you a driver example like layer 3 VPN, for instance. Layer 3 VPN, here, get configuration. So when we ask for the resources and we say, I want to get the endpoints, then from these endpoints, I do a get device endpoints with this tag, which is a TerraFlow TerraFlow API client. But it's over here, and I can show briefly the code. TerraFlow API client. Essentially here what we are doing is we iterate over the devices that are retrieved. This is through another data model in TerraFlow, and if the import topology setting says disabled, I'm not importing the topology details. If the topology is different than disabled, at least I need to import the devices. So I get the devices, I iterate through the devices, and I create things like this, okay, that each of them represents a device. If I want the links, it's because in import topology, if it's devices, I finish here. If not, the third option is that I want the whole topology, so I continue, and then I get the links, I iterate through the links, and I create blocks like this one that represents a link. And when I provide this thing to TerraFlow, TerraFlow will create the topology. But all this thing is not done in the transport API driver because this one only retrieves data without any kind of information about topology. So the idea will be to take the code that I was showing in the other side, adapt it uh, based on the TAPI application that I was showing for retrieving topology. And whenever you have the code that retrieves information formatted as TerraFlow understands, embed this thing here in the in the Transport API driver so that you can retrieve the topology. Okay, this will be this challenge. Next one is being able to deploy the network slice controller with the rest of modules of TFS modules, let's say. Okay, so that way we can deploy everything integrated and not one after the other. Here you can check, for instance, how it's done in TerraFlow, which essentially we define here the list of components, and then here below we iterate through the components and keep deploying. It needs to be adapted so that we can do this also for the network slice controller. Then This one is on the NSC, which is essentially extending the unitary tests of the network slice controller because it is testing part of the code but not all. So Javier was proposing maybe to review the set of unitary tests and also expand a bit the set of tests. The other one is on fixing the layer 2 VPN NBI, because right now this layer 2 VPN creates slices, but what we need it to create is services. So what we need to do is migrate the layer 2 VPN to behave like the layer 3 VPN and create services instead of slices. So here if you go to the code, you can see easily on the NBI that it creates slices here, as you see, create slice, blah, 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 while for the layer 3 here, the layer 3 instead, where it is? I don't see it. Ah, no, because it's not this file, it's this file. No, wait. Here, the layer 3 creates a service, okay? So we need to converge the layer 2 also to do this thing of creating the services directly. And the last one, logical resources component, it's about implementing a complete new component. This is challenging if you are new, because implies that you need to check how are implemented other components. For sure, you can take some basic component as the basis for starting, and a typical one could be maybe the forecaster. Forecaster is something that it's really simple in terms of code, and it's more or less should be easy to understand, more or less what it is done step by step. Then you keep cherry picking the parts that you need in terms of the Docker files, the requirements, configuration files, and so on. Okay, and well, no, for sure, no need to go for a real database. You can have database in memory. You can start with a basic in protocol buffers. You have the protocol buffers here in the proto folder. So for the forecaster, for instance, it's very simple. So you can start playing with these things, and that could be. Let me revert this. And that could be the list of challenges. Opinions, comments here. Do you think it's too much or it's too few? And for sure, we will be with you if you need help. We can help you and direct you.
No one wants to jump in. I don't know. I mean, I have one that I might like more than others, but we might be a few on this one from the Atron team, so I don't want to steal anything. But I do have an idea if that's the question. I don't know what the others wants to do if they have something they prefer, but
Yeah. Well, here, yeah, please.
Yeah, I do have a question, like, or maybe a comment, like, how should be, how the whole challenge should be proceed. Like, should we like build some teams and then choose one challenge, depending on our own experience with the flow SDN, or how do you plan to do that?
Yeah, exactly. This was the next thing I wanted to mention. it's about my recommendations. So the idea is that we will work in teams, okay? For this work, the idea is that we will try to provide you one member with previous experience in TerraFlow in each of the groups, and then the proposal will be to arrange teams with 2-3 members so that nobody gets bored doing nothing and nobody gets isolated and lost. Okay, and that way we can discuss internally. And well, don't be shy. Well, here most of the people this time is from Atran, so probably you know each other, and we are the new ones. But well, the idea here is to have fun, and yeah. After that, the idea is, well, we create some teams. If you want, you can start. If you want, you can first discuss internally however you want, and then maybe with, I don't know, maybe with Javier or somebody, we can try to collaborate with you to guide you and to instruct you for the challenge that looks interesting to you, trying to provide a bit more step-by-step, let's say, guidance on how to resolve them. But for sure, I don't expect that you, from the very beginning, without previous experience in TerraFlow, you resolve something like implementing a brand new component out of the box and integrating it. This is understandable. So that's why I say that don't worry, we will try to guide you in a friendly way.
So maybe again, like, could you share the screen? I mean the file with the challenges so that we can also have a look and yeah.
Yes, I mean I can provide. We will upload these slides in a minute
Okay.
with Manel, and then you can decide. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
So welcome. So